I will now ask the Secretary to read the order of the day.
Debate on vote number 1, the Presidency Appropriation Bill.
Honorable the President. Mr. President, I was worried. I thought, Mr. President, for a while, I thought your iPad has been lost again.
No.
Over to you, President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers, and Honorable Members and fellow South Africans. In 2 days from now, which is on Friday, the 18th of July, South Africans, and indeed the world, people will celebrate Nelson Mandela Day. Madiba helped us see that we can achieve a great deal as a nation by staying true to the vision of a better, more equal, as well as a more prosperous South Africa, by working together to achieve a vision that South Africa indeed can be a successful nation if we put our minds to it. Today, the world faces real and significant challenges, and so do we as a country and as a nation. We face an increasingly volatile world with many disruptions to global trade, as well as deepening conflicts that are raging in many parts of the world. We face high levels of unemployment in our own country, as well as low economic growth that has not enabled us to create the number of jobs that we all wished to create. We face the corrosive effects of corruption and pervasive crime to which the poorest amongst us are most vulnerable. We also face the daunting task of building a state that is capable of tackling the challenges of the time and restoring the trust of our people. It is with these challenges in mind that we formed the Government of National Unity to place our country on a more stronger footing, to be able to have economic growth, as well as to foster transformation and to move ahead on the path of peace and prosperity. As we established the Government of National Unity, we understood that we were embarking on what you could call a new era in our democracy. We understood then that it would be complex and that we would be faced with novel challenges that we would need to navigate. We have together adopted the Medium-Term Development Plan, which outlines clear actions that we need to take over the next 5 years in pursuit of the 3 strategic priorities that we have set out for ourselves. Firstly, to drive inclusive growth and job creation. Secondly, to tackle poverty, as well as to address more effectively the high cost of living. And thirdly, to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. Across all ministries, all departments, and all national entities that we have, there is a commitment to implement the actions on which we have agreed and to move with urgency and purpose to address the needs of all South Africans. Most importantly, there is a shared understanding that we need to rise above our differences and work together to progress or to make progress on the important challenges that our country faces. The approach of the Government of National Unity is to enhance national cohesion, nation building, and to build partnerships across society to advance the common interests of South Africans. And to seek this whole purpose, we agreed that we would have a national dialogue amongst many other things we would do. And this is being convened in response to the many calls that were made by individuals, leaders, eminent persons, as well as various formations from across society. This initiative has received widespread support and has been endorsed by the Government of National Unity as a process that is significant to develop a social compact that will enable us as South Africans to meet the aspirations of the National Development Plan. At every important moment in the history of our country, we have come together as South Africans to define a shared vision and to forge a path into a future in dialogue with one another. The national dialogue is not just about talking. Like with CODESA, like with the National Peace Accord, like with the consultation process that we all went through as we drafted our new constitution, the national dialogue is expected to produce real results that have a tangible impact on the lives of our people. We are all called upon to use this moment of this national dialogue as an instrument of fostering development, transformation, progress, national cohesion, and national unity as well. This dialogue does not displace the democratic processes that are mandated by our Constitution, nor does it divert us from the electoral mandate that this Parliament was given by the people of South Africa. As the national dialogue process continues, the government will continue to take action to address immediate concerns that all South Africans share, to grow our economy, to create jobs, to tackle corruption and crime, and to fix local government. The medium-term development plan sets specific measurable targets for each of the programs that we need to embark upon as set out in various budget votes. And those budget votes quantify the resources that we will need to reach the targets that will be articulated. However, the true measure of success is the impact that we will have on improving the lives of our people. Everything that this government does, from trade negotiations to economic reforms, from the professionalization of the public service to the support for farmers, for small business, is directed towards meeting the needs of the people of South Africa and securing their future. The role of the presidency in all this is to coordinate the work of government towards this end and to make sure that our commitments and actions are directed at meeting the needs of South Africans. Our most important priority is to grow the economy and to create jobs. We are working across government to boost infrastructure investment, to ensure that infrastructure development does become the true flywheel of economic growth in our country. We are using the infrastructure fund to invest in the roads that link communities, the bridges that connect them, to ensure that their economic interests are advanced. We're using these investments to ensure that water projects that supply expanding cities and our towns do indeed reach our people through the pipes that we lay. We have amended the regulations for public-private partnerships to make it easier for those who have money, that is the private sector, to invest in infrastructure ranging from renewable energy to the generation and to housing, and to encompass all other areas where we need infrastructure. This infrastructure has a direct impact on people's lives, providing the services that they need, reducing the cost of living, as well as improving the business environment, and by so doing, encouraging economic activity in the places where our people live. We're following through on our commitment to invest more than 1 trillion rand, as announced by the Minister of Finance in his budget speech, in infrastructure over the next 3 years to renew our country's roads, port, rail, energy, as well as water systems. South Africans benefit when the economy grows, when jobs are created, when established industries expand and new industries emerge. To ensure that our industrial policy promotes local economic activity, we are repositioning our industrial policy to ensure that we look at opportunities in diversification, in decarbonization, and digitalization as well, as we embark on measures to ensure that the incentives that we provide and enabling initiatives are able to create a conducive environment for businesses to grow. That is why we are redirecting our development finance institutions to be more active investors themselves in emerging industries and introducing tax incentives for new energy vehicles from next year. We are pursuing critical minerals and metal strategy recently approved by Cabinet to ensure that our country's mineral wealth creates jobs and produces value here in South Africa, and particularly in the areas where those minerals are extracted. Our national policy on the commercialization of hemp and cannabis aims to improve the livelihoods of those people who live in rural areas, targeting 10% annual growth in this emerging industry. Communities in our cities and rural areas alike will benefit from rapid growth that we are seeing in tourism. More than 9 million international tourists visited our country in the past year, directly spending over 90 billion rand. This is thanks in large measure to the reforms that we have embarked upon in the visa system, targeted tourism promotion in key markets, and the support that is being given to local companies that are involved in the tourism business. To encourage the growth of micro, small, and medium enterprises, we are continuing the work to remove regulatory constraints and to simplify business licensing. This, whilst is a difficult area to traverse, we are beginning to see progress that is being made. For we have found difficult for regulations that have been made to be changed, to be amended in order to enhance the type of business growth that we seek. but we will get there. We are refining our financing offerings to the businesses in our townships and rural areas, recognizing that different types of businesses have different needs at different stages of their own existence and development. To accelerate economic growth and create jobs, we are moving ahead with the economic reform agenda that we introduced through Operation Vulindlela, with the Presidency providing strong leadership and coordination to ensure that the reforms that we have embarked upon are implemented. In the energy sector, working together with all stakeholders, we've made outstanding progress in reducing the severity as well as the frequency of load shedding. There was a time when daily load shedding was the norm. Now it is the exception. We are putting in place the foundations for a competitive electricity market to unlock massive new investment in energy generation. This will result in lower electricity costs as we move on for all South Africans and more renewable energy to power our economy. We have also made significant progress towards enabling innovative public and private investment in our transmission network. Implementation of the Just Energy Transition continues to progress, coordinated in the way that we will ensure that it does yield the results we want. There are growing projects in the Just Energy Transition, in the pipeline thereof, in various places in municipalities as well. There's also another added benefit that we are getting out of this, the skills development process, as we embark more and more on renewable energy generation. Total international pledges to support our Just Energy Transition now amounts to about 12.8 billion rand, or dollars rather, or around 230 billion rand. This investment will go directly into renewable energy projects where the communities that are affected by the transition will be able to be at the center of the focus that our work will entail. Through this work, South Africa is leading the world in many ways in showing what a truly just energy transition should look like. And through this process, yes, we are learning even from our own mistakes as we move ahead. We are also following through on our reform commitments in the logistics sector. We have continued to make progress in reforming our visa system to attract skills and grow our tourism. The electronic travel authorization system will be launched later this year. The Department of Home Affairs has made great progress in clearing the visa application backlog, which stood at around 306,000 applications in March of 2024. Now, through these reforms, we are steadily removing the obstacles to growth and paving the way for a new phase of investment and job creation in our economy. The work of Operation Vulindlela shows the importance of a capable presidency at the center of government, fulfilling a coordinating role and working very closely with all departments and agencies responsible for implementing the various initiatives that need to be implemented so as to deliver good services across the state. The greatest challenge that faces our country today is youth unemployment. Approximately 3.8 million out of 10.3 million young South Africans aged 15 to 20 years and currently not in employment, education, or training. These are young people with energy, with initiative, as well as untapped potential. As we pursue faster and more inclusive growth, as government, we have undertaken programs of a large scale to provide opportunities for young people to earn an income, to develop skills, and to gain work experience. Through innovative and targeted interventions, the presidential employment stimulus has continued to demonstrate that when a society invests in its people, particularly in its young people, the dividends are measured in hope, restored, and futures that are rewritten. In June of this year, we began a new phase of the Basic Education Employment Initiative, with over 200,000 young people being brought in to work as school assistants in over 20,000 schools across the country. This initiative has now created opportunities for over 1 million young people to serve as assistants in schools, supporting teachers in classrooms, in school administration, as well as in school maintenance. Having been to a few schools and have seen this in action, one cannot but be impressed with the manner in which our young people have taken up this opportunity. The program has been designed to strengthen the learning environment, which is a great benefit for our schools and learning outcomes as well. But in the process, the participants gain work experience and the skills that are vital to finding employment and to starting their own businesses as they embark on their own life journeys. Young people face many barriers. Without established networks in the economy, without any work experience, without money for things like data and transport, it is difficult for many young people even to look for work. To address these challenges, we also launched the SA Youth Mobi platform in 2020. Since then, it has linked a growing number of young people to learning and earning opportunities. There are now 4.7 million young people who are registered on SA Youth Network. Young people have been supported to access over 1.67 million earning opportunities having emanated from this platform. A significant achievement of South African youth in the vast majority of earning opportunities have been accessed by the most excluded young people. 70% of the opportunities have been accessed by young Black African women. Around 65% of the young people registered on SA Youth Platform reported that they live in households where at least one member receives a grant. This means that we are reaching some of the people who have the greatest needs in our country. With the support of government, the South African Employment Service, which is known as YES, has become the largest corporate-funded youth jobs program in the world. The program has to date provided over 190,000 young people with a year-long work experience opportunity. Through all these programs, coordinated by the Presidency, we are changing the way that government works and scaling innovative solutions to our unemployment challenge. And as it is now, a number of People and countries are thronging to our doors to come and learn precisely how we have structured these programs and how they continue to operate. Honorable members, education is at the center of our fight against poverty. The foundational years are central to a child's progress through their educational journey, and even later on in life. That is why our focus is on expanding access to quality early childhood development and early grade literacy and numeracy as well. We continue our efforts to ensure that learners have a safe and conducive environment in which to learn. To date, we have completed 97% of the sanitation projects under the SAFE initiative aimed at getting rid of pit latrines in our schools. The Department of Basic Education is undertaking the work that is needed to implement the Basic Education Law Amendment Act to ensure that all children have access to quality education as well as to well-run schools. We continue efforts to expand and to strengthen vocational training to match the skills we develop with the skills that are needed in our economy. Through NSFAS, we are expanding access to students from poor and working class families. And with the support of the National Schools Fund, we're expanding assistance to the missing middle. This year, NSFAS has supported over 800,000 university and TVET college students. This provides opportunities to young people today that will, in time, transform our economy and society and lead our country. In order for us to give access for all people to quality health care, we have determined that we will address the poor state of our hospitals and clinics. Yes, we are investing in construction, revitalization, and maintenance of facilities of our health centers across the country as our budgetary capability becomes available. To address the severe challenges in health and in the preparation of the implementation of the NHI, we are directing resources towards hiring more doctors, more nurses, and health professionals, as well as the permanent employment of community health workers and purchasing the equipment and supplies that are needed in our health facilities. We are also determined to meet our HIV testing and treatment targets. Despite the withdrawal of the United States funding, the Minister of Health has reported on the progress that is being made, working together with stakeholders to mobilize resources to fill the gap that has resulted from the shortage or pulling of funding. The South African National AIDS Council, which is led by the Deputy President, remains at the center of our HIV/AIDS response, mobilizing all sectors and putting stakeholders to ensure that we end AIDS as a public health pandemic. For us to effectively tackle any of these challenges, we need to build a capable state with institutions that are resistant to corruption or interference. The recent adoption of the Public Service Commission Bill by the National Assembly marks a crucial milestone, enhancing the independence and effectiveness of the Public Service Commission in the work that it has to do to promote ethical governance. The bill will, in the end, enhance and allow the Commission to function as an impartial constitutional body and to ensure that the executive is compelled to act on the Commission's recommendations, thereby reinforcing accountability across the public sector. To make government work more efficiently and to bring it closer to the people, the Digital Transformation Roadmap was launched in April of this year. The roadmap itself focuses on building digital public infrastructure, including a digital identity for every South African. It includes a digital payment system to enable instant, low-cost payments and interoperable data systems to ensure that citizens only have to provide their information to government once. The integrity and credibility of the criminal justice system is vital to the ongoing efforts to combat crime as well as corruption. Over the last few years, we've made significant progress in rebuilding, as well as strengthening law enforcement agencies, security services, and prosecutorial bodies. These changes have been real and visible in the South African Police Service, in the Hawks, in the National Prosecuting Agency, as well as the Asset Forfeiture Unit, the Special Investigating Unit, the State Security Agency, and others. We are determined to maintain the momentum that we have built on. We must therefore be concerned when reports emerge and allegations are made to threaten and to undermine the stability and effectiveness of these institutions. I have recently established 2 commissions of inquiry that in different ways will interrogate aspects of our criminal justice system. The first one is chaired by Judge Sisi Kampempe, which will look to the past. I see there's quite a bit of excitement on this side. Now, this commission, Honorable Speaker, as I take a sip of water, will investigate allegations of undue interference in the investigation of prosecutions of apartheid-era crimes. Not only is the commission necessary to ensure that justice for the victims of apartheid-era crimes and their families, but it will provide valuable lessons as we strengthen our efforts to ensure accountability now and into the future. The second, Honorable Speaker, is that which I announced on Sunday, which will be chaired by Acting Deputy Chief Justice Muyiseli Madlanga, which will investigate allegations by the South African Police Service Provincial Commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi alleged that the Minister of Police had interfered with sensitive police investigations and colluded with business people, including a murder accused, to disband the political killings task team based in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, these allegations are serious. They are also untested. It is therefore necessary that we establish the facts through an independent, credible, and thorough process so that we can ensure that there is accountability as well as safeguard public confidence in the police service. It is therefore strange that some people have voiced strong opposition to the establishment of this inquiry. Some have even said that I should take immediate punitive steps against Mr. Senzo Mchunu on the basis of untested allegations. Not only would this be unfair, but it would also create a very dangerous precedent. Now, on this one, the Commission should be allowed to do its work. Some people have even resurrected the tired line that commissions and panels that we have established in the past have produced meaningless results. This view is wrong. It is not borne out by evidence. In 2018, we established the Commission on the South African Revenue Service, chaired by Judge Robert Nugent. The Commission's findings and recommendations resulted in a comprehensive overhaul of SARS. It also resulted in the governance structures of SARS and the operational capability of SARS being revamped. This has enabled SARS to significantly increase revenue collection, improve compliance, and recover substantial sums of unpaid tax. The Commission of Inquiry into the Public Investment Corporation, the PIC, which was chaired by Judge Lex Mpati, exposed serious governance failures and led to far-reaching institutional reforms at the PIC. These commissions resulted in disciplinary actions and the cancellation of unlawful contracts. The implementation of the recommendations of the high-level panel on state security agency have contributed significantly to SSA stabilization and recovery. It has also improved oversight and accountability, and the structural reforms contained in the General Intelligence Law Amendment Act. Following the recommendations of the expert panel into the 2021 civil unrest, government has taken steps to ensure better intelligence coordination, capacitating public order policing, strengthening community policing forums, as well as strengthening and streamlining the functionality of the National Security Council. In the 3 years since the final report of the State Capture Commission was presented to the President, the government has undertaken major reforms based on the recommendations. 8 new laws have been enacted to strengthen our anti-corruption institutions, enhance procurement system, reform the intelligence services, as well as to improve corporate accountability and public administration. The value of assets that were linked to state capture that have been recovered by the state now stand at 11 billion rand by March of this year.
Order, honorable members, let's not have running commentary.
Now,
You
another
can have an opportunity, I'm sorry, Mr. President, you can have an opportunity to interject, but you can't have a running commentary. And also, if you have got different views, your parties will have an opportunity to speak. Mr. President, you can proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My apology. Another 10.6 billion rand is currently frozen, awaiting the outcome of cases that are in court. There are criminal cases arising from the State Capture Commission that have been concluded, all with guilty verdicts. Other cases involving 51 individuals and 27 companies are currently enrolled in court. Now, each of these commissions and panels did succeed in unearthing information and made findings that were critical to understanding the events that took place then. They were essential in ensuring accountability, providing recommendations on the strengthening of our institutions and processes. Now, these commissions and panels show that a government does take responsibility and that it is committed to being transparent and accountable and does not fear independent scrutiny.
Honorable Tubate, can you please switch your gadget? Switch off? You can proceed.
Honorable Speaker, we continue to make progress in all these matters since its establishment last year. The NPA's investigating directorate against corruption has authorized over 120 matters involving more than 215 of the most high-profile state capture corruption accused. Over 80 cases are currently under investigation and approximately 40 of them have already been enrolled. The NPA itself is using new technology to conduct complex investigations through the rapid, efficient analysis and documentation of digital evidence. South Africa has substantially completed all 22 action items that were contained in the action plan adopted when South Africa was grey-listed in February 2023. Now, this paves the way for an on-site visit, which is the final step before FATF can delist South Africa. We are at the midpoint of the implementation of the strategic plan on gender-based violence and femicide. Yet violence against women and children continues unabated. It remains a pandemic that shames the men of our nation. While we can point to progress in responding to instances of gender-based violence, from clearing the historical DNA backlog to increasing conviction rates and improving victim services in police stations, our greatest challenge is to prevent gender-based violence incidents from taking place in the first place. Our efforts to prevent gender-based violence need special focus. They need to be intensified, they need to be massively scaled up and include all sectors of society. We need to give greater attention to the social factors, such as alcohol abuse, that fuel such violence. The impact of weak governance is felt the most at the local level. We recognize that many of our cities, as well as towns, are failing to deliver basic services to our people, thus creating serious challenges for businesses and the residents of our towns and cities. We have initiated a comprehensive reform of the local government system, underpinned by a review of the white paper on local government that is being piloted by the Minister of Cooperative Governance. While this reform process is underway, the Presidency is providing targeted intervention and support in some struggling municipalities, starting with eThekwini and Johannesburg. Working groups established in both of these cities have brought together mayors, senior officials from local, provincial, and national government, business, civil society, as well as labor organizations to tackle the the most urgent problems that some of these cities are facing. The progress made since we established the Presidential eThekwini Working Group shows that this model does work. It is underpinned by the district development model. In the last year, the tourism sector in eThekwini has seen significant recovery, with a 33% growth in domestic trips in 2024, contributing over 17 billion rand to the local economy. The Presidency is uniquely positioned to bring together the many stakeholders within and beyond government who must work together to turn our cities around. Honorable members, South Africa's international standing has been greatly enhanced in recent years despite the increasingly challenging global circumstances in which we pursue our national goals and interests as a country. Multilateralism is on the retreat. Global stability and development are being threatened in the main by unilateral and coercive economic measures that a number of international players are resorting to. Conflicts in some parts of the world are having economic, political, and social consequences far beyond the areas of conflict. The erosion of rule-based multilateralism undermines efforts to achieve a level playing field in economic relations and places emerging markets such as ours in a vulnerable position. The economic uncertainty that arises from these developments dampens the growth prospects of the economies of many countries, particularly in the global south. Last week, we received notification in a letter from President Trump to myself that exports from South Africa to the United States will attract tariffs of up to 30% from the 1st of August 2025. This could have a substantial impact on the products that we export to the United States. We have already seen how just the mere news of the intention to impose tariffs has dampened the ability of a number of exporters from our country to the United States, and we have seen how some companies have had their exports declining by up to 80%. But right at the moment, we welcome the commitment by the US government since we met them in the White House and following engagements that we have had with them after their letter, that the 30% tariff is subject to modification pending the conclusion of negotiations between our two countries. Those negotiations have commenced. At the same time, we continue to work to diversify our export markets and to build a more resilient domestic economy. And in this regard, we call on our producers who export goods to be actively involved in diversifying their own markets and to engage and enlist government assistance in various countries where they wish to export to. We continue with our efforts to strengthen our relations with the United States, which still remains a strong investment and trading partner to our country. Our successful working visit to the US in May reaffirmed the importance of keeping the channels of dialogue open and established a basis for greater engagement and cooperation, which, as I said, is ongoing. Organizations that seek to use South Africa's relations with other countries to advance their own domestic agenda do undermine our national interests and efforts. We are now at the halfway mark of our G20 presidency. So far, nearly 70 of the 130 planned official meetings or engagements have taken place, and we are glad that they have continued to take place in various parts of our country, in our various cities, in various provinces. We are making progress in engagement with fellow G20 countries on the central themes that we have identified for our presidency. Through our participation in other fora, such as the BRICS Summit, which ended just a few days ago in Brazil, and the G7 Summit, which we attended in Canada, we have reinforced our position on critical issues of concern to all G20 countries and beyond G20 countries as well. These issues include debt sustainability and financing for development and climate action. We are seeking agreement on the sustainable approach to critical and rare minerals that benefits the communities and countries where those resources are extracted and found. Throughout our participation in G20 meetings over the last half year, we have sought to advance shared solutions to common problems, to promote the African agenda, and to place the interests of the Global South firmly on the global agenda. As we reflect on our place in the world, we express our horror and dismay at the continued genocide that is taking place in Gaza. More and more Palestinian civilians are being killed every day. Millions face starvation, which is being used as a weapon. Homes, hospitals, and other essential infrastructure are continuing to be destroyed. The fact that these atrocities are taking place in the plain view and sight of the international community with no concerted effort to end them is a damning indictment on the leaders in the world. The stance that South Africa has taken on the genocide in Gaza, including the application that we have made to the International Court of Justice, is founded on our commitment to peace and justice. We are equally concerned at the grave humanitarian situation and the deaths of so many people in Sudan. The conflict is taking a huge human toll. It is estimated that over 30 million people need aid and some 12 million people are displaced. The international community has a responsibility to support regional and other efforts to end the conflict and to provide the assistance that the people of Sudan desperately need. As the situation in the Eastern DRC enters a new phase, the South African Development Community, SADC, that is mission, has ended, and our personnel are being withdrawn in a phased manner. The majority of them have already returned home. As we welcome the return of our soldiers, we remember with great sorrow the 40 soldiers who lost their lives alongside soldiers from other southern African countries to bring peace and security to that region. We are hopeful that the parties to the conflict will now engage in the envisaged dialogue and cessation of hostilities, which will culminate in an all-encompassing political process that leads to a lasting solution. Our withdrawal was seen as a confidence-building measure that would enable a peace to be found in that part of the world. And indeed, we continue to keenly observe and in some instances participate in various peace efforts that we hope will solidify the peace that is so needed in that part of the world. South Africa remains part of the initiatives to end the Russia-Ukraine conflict and achieve a just and lasting peace. We continue to get involved in various iterations that are meant to bring that conflict to an end, hopefully sooner rather than later. While many of these conflicts are far from our shores, we have an interest in seeing them resolved. Our history places on us a moral responsibility to strive for an end to suffering and oppression around the world. We also have obligations under international law to prevent genocide and ensure accountability for atrocities. It is in our interests as a country to ensure that international law is upheld and consistently applied, and that global bodies like the United Nations Security Council are effective in ensuring peace and security. And we will, as a country, continue to intensify our efforts to reform those global institutions to ensure that they are representative and inclusive. In our view, it continues to be unacceptable that 1.4 billion Africans have no permanent representation of the UN Security Council. It is these laws and these institutions that we will look to for protection and support as we confront uncertainty of a changing world. Our message for the reform of the United Nations Security Council is continuing to spread, and in many centers it is beginning to sink. So we will not let up on continuing to harp on the issue of the reform of the United Nations Security Council, so as to enable the peoples of our continent, particularly other countries also in the global south, to be well represented in a body that was founded on ensuring that there will be peace in the world. Honorable members, a tree survives through winds by its deep and extensive roots, anchoring itself in the soil. Its flexible branches can bend and sway with the wind, enabling the tree to adjust to changing circumstances. A forest of trees works together to withstand a storm. The closeness of the canopies breaking the wind's force is what gives the forest strength. Like a baobab tree of the Limpopo province or a yellowwood of the Eastern Cape province, our roots have been made firm by experience. As the wind picks up around us, they will hold us to the ground. The formation of the Government of National Unity has inspired new hope in South Africans that we can make progress in addressing our most urgent challenges. And indeed, following the elections, the fact that we were able to set up a body like this has also inspired a lot of hope in the hearts of many South Africans. Our task is therefore clear. We must grow our economy. We must create jobs. Yes, we must reduce poverty and tackle corruption and crime. And as we do so, we should be well armed with a state that is capable of ensuring that the people of our country have the best that they can get. While we will always have differences and disagreements, we are all committed to staying the course and seeing through the various reforms and improvements that we must go through in order to deliver a better South Africa to all the people who live here. We must combine the strength of our principles and our convictions with an openness and willingness to listen, but to listen to one another and to adapt. The Presidency will continue to lead government in ensuring that we do so and that we deliver a better South Africa to all our people. Madam Speaker, I hereby commend the Presidency budget vote to the National Assembly and look forward to the debates that are going to ensue here. I thank you.